Iconic Disney film Mary Poppins receives new age rating in the UK over discriminatory language. By our correspondent 𝐮𝐸𝐬𝐿. Black History Month. Let's travel 10 landmark locations in the US that celebrate African American lives and contributions. By our correspondent 𝐮𝐸𝐬𝐽. Pro-Palestinian advocate 𝐮𝐩𝐝𝐿 scores resounding victory in British election. By our correspondent 𝐮𝐸𝐬𝐿. Malaysian government aims for fresh MH370 search on 10th anniversary. By AMT correspondent. UT Dallas sophomore found dead after week-long disappearance. By our correspondent 𝐮𝐸𝐬𝐿. International outcry as Israel faces criticism over Gaza aid seeker killings. By AMT correspondent. Husband sues Disney Springs restaurant following wife's fatal allergic reaction. By our correspondent 𝐮𝐸𝐬𝐿. Haiti's deepening crisis, escaped prisoners and political turmoil grip the nation. By our correspondent 𝐮𝐸𝐬𝐿. Recent demolition of mosque and Muslim school in India has ignited deadly clashes, bringing attention to a troubling trend of Hindu right-wing factions singling out Muslim institutions. By our correspondent 𝐮𝐸𝐬𝐽. Emergency in Brazil, over 1 million dengue cases threaten public health. By our correspondent 𝐮𝐸𝐬𝐽. Auction of Colin Firth's iconic Mr. Darcy shirt captures hearts and history. By our correspondent 𝐮𝐸𝐬𝐽. Palestinian-Canadian groups challenge government in court over arms trade with Israel. By AMT correspondent. UN demands Britain repatriate 𝐮𝐸𝐝𝐵𝐞 following appeal loss. By our correspondent 𝐮𝐸𝐬𝐽. U.S. Supreme Court temporarily halts enforcement of Texas immigration law. By our correspondent 𝐮𝐸𝐬𝐽. Far-right Israeli minister sparks outcry, calls for eradication of Ramadan amid Gaza crisis. By our correspondent 𝐮𝐸𝐬𝐽. Unwarranted sacrifice, exploitation of Indian and Nepalese youths in Russia and Ukraine war. By AMT correspondent. Strangers come together to raise $102,000 for a man who donated prison labor earnings to Gaza relief efforts. By our correspondent 𝐮𝐸𝐬𝐽. For more updates, visit our website at AmericanMuslimToday.com. Follow us on our social media accounts on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.